Cody, for joining us today. Everyone, I'd like to introduce you to Cody Clayton with Together Credit Union. So Cody, introduce yourself a little bit.
Yeah, as Megan said, my name's Cody Clayton. I work for Together Credit Union, been here for pretty close to 4 years now. We do home purchases, refinances, and home equity loans. So.
Very good. Well, Cody, today I wanted to talk to you about those home equity loans. So people call them HELOCs. So what is a HELOC?
Yeah, so HELOC stands for Home Equity Line of Credit. So probably the easiest way I have to describe it to people, it's essentially a credit card that's attached to your home without actually having the credit card. So basically you can use the equity that you have in your home to do whatever you want with. A lot of people do home improvements, pay off debts and things like that. The biggest difference is that the interest rates on them are much lower than interest rates on credit cards.
Well, that sounds awesome. You mentioned a little bit about what I could use it for home improvement. Has anyone else used it for other creative things that you've talked to them about later?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people, I actually work with a lot of people who use them for purchasing investment properties as well. So that's another thing. At that point, you're essentially a cash buyer. So you can use your home equity loan to, buy a home cash, and then they'll come back to me and then refinance the home and get a permanent loan on it, pay the HELOC off, and then just continue to do that process. So that's another very common thing as well.
Okay, cool. Do you have an approximate amount that people could borrow against their home if they were trying to purchase an investment property?
Yeah, the maximum amount we allow right now is up to $350,000. So it all really falls into your loan to value. So the maximum amount that you can have in a combined loan to value between what you owe on your first and the HELOC is up to 90%. So, as long as you have that much equity in the home, then you can go up to, there's a couple different tiers that we have. One is $250,000 or all the way up to $350,000.
That's awesome. That would make you a serious competitive buyer if you had that much cash that you could use.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I mean, that's, huge, especially in the market. And all about that right now. Cash is king. If somebody says, hey, cash offer, that's right at the top of the list. So,
yeah. Very cool. All right. What are the interest rates like on a HELOC? You mentioned that they're much lower than credit cards. So what are the interest rates about right now?
Sure, they are. So the one thing is that scares people a little bit initially till I kind of explain it is the interest rates on home equity loans are variable rates, but it's tied to the prime interest rate that is set by the Federal Reserve. So right now the prime interest rate is 3.25%. So there's different tiers depending on where your credit score is, what your loan to value is. That right now you would be anywhere from 3.25% to 5% in our bottom tier. So still much lower than interest rates on credit cards. Like I said, to kind of piggyback on that, a lot of people get concerned with what it could potentially do in the future. The prime interest rate hasn't been double digits since the 80s. The highest it's been in the last 15 years is 5.5%, so yes, it's eventually, it's at 3.25 now. It's been there since the pandemic hit. Eventually it's going to slowly start going up. But you're still talking about, 15 to 25% interest rates on credit cards, and the HELOCs being nowhere near that. So.
Cool. So how long do people have to use these HELOCs? What are the draw periods and the payback times?
So the line of credit is open for 10 years. So when your loan closes in funds, you have 10 years to use it as you wish. At the end of 10 years, it will close off. At that point, if there is any kind of balance that you have, we allow you 15 years to pay off that remaining balance. So, some other lenders may do a shorter period of time or some type of balloon, but we're not going to do that to people. We're going to give you up to 15 years and you can pay it back at any point. There's no prepayment penalties or anything like that at all. So if there is no balance at the end of 10 years, it simply just closes off and is over with. So.
Very cool. Awesome. That's really good information.
Mm-hmm.
Is there anything else about a HELOC that you would like to tell us about?
Yeah, I mean, some of the other main questions on them is an appraisal required. So our first step is to do a computer generated value. We call it an AVM. So we just run a system. It takes a minute. We get a value on your home, and we kind of go from there. As long as you agree with that value and that works with what you're looking to do, then we don't need to do an appraisal. Also, are there any fees involved? So under, if you stay at 250,000 or under, there are no closing costs. So there's no title fees, no lender fees, no appraisal fee, nothing like that. Also, as I kind of mentioned before, there is no prepayment penalty or anything like that. So it's, kind of one of those things. You can open up a HELOC, and if you never use it, you never pay for it. The minimum payment each month is just the interest on the balance that you use. So it's a very, very low minimum payment. But you can pay additional as you wish, and no prepayment penalty, like I said.
That's great information. Okay. So
Yep.
if people are interested in talking to you about a HELOC, what's the best way to get in touch with you?
Yeah, so you can email me, and my email is cclayton@togethercu.org. So cclayton @togethercu.org, or my direct line in my office, it's 314-657-4725.
Awesome. And I'll have that information linked below, so you can check that out there too, in case you missed it.
That'd be great.
Awesome. Well, Cody, is there anything else you'd like to tell us before we wrap this up?
No, I think I pretty much covered most of the basics. If anybody ever has any kind of questions or is interested, certainly give me a call or shoot me an email.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for your time today. And I can't wait to work on the next deal with you.
All right. Take it easy, Megan.